Have you ever felt that mix of anxiety and frustration when realizing that Christmas didn't turn out quite as planned? Perhaps the turkey got burnt, family conversations spiraled into conflict, or that highly anticipated gift disappointed. And then comes the question, why does the feeling of perfection always seem to slip through our fingers, even with all the effort we put in? Here's the truth, and it might surprise you. The problem was never Christmas. The problem lies in our unrealistic expectations. And here's something even more intriguing. The more you strive for perfection, the further you drift away from what truly matters. But what if I told you there's a way to transform even the most chaotic moments of Christmas into genuine experiences of connection and inner peace? This doesn't require more effort, money, or control. In fact, it demands something surprising: the ability to embrace imperfections and live in the present with serenity. Sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Yet this is precisely what the ancient Stoics taught us, and these lessons are more relevant now than ever. In this video, you'll discover how to apply Stoic principles to Christmas and to life. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with family tensions, logistical mishaps, or simply the expectations you've set for yourself. Here you'll learn to accept what's beyond your control, find harmony in imperfections, and cultivate a mindset of peace and gratitude. Ready to redefine Christmas and perhaps your perspective on the world? Then stay with me, because what's coming next might change your outlook forever. Imagine for a moment that typical Christmas scene we see in commercials. A perfect family sitting around an impeccably decorated table, all smiling and in total harmony. It seems like a dream, right? But in real life, what often unfolds is far from that. Dishes may be delayed, that uncle's joke might cause discomfort, or someone could forget to buy the right gift. And that's okay. Acceptance is the key to not letting these imperfections steal the magic of the moment. Just as the Stoics taught, it's essential to understand that certain aspects of what happens around us are simply beyond our control. Why waste energy trying to change the unchangeable when you can learn to embrace these realities with serenity? For instance, consider that relative who always makes hard-to-digest comments. Sure, it's tempting to want to rebut or change the situation, but does that truly bring peace? Stoicism teaches us that by accepting that people have their own perspectives, often beyond our ability to change, we can focus on what really matters, maintaining our inner serenity. Instead of getting frustrated with the lack of perfection in others' behavior, why not see it as an opportunity to practice patience and forgiveness? After all, that's a much greater gift than anything wrapped in fancy paper. And what about Christmas logistics? That delayed flight, the endless traffic, or even the dessert that didn't turn out right. All of these are events outside our control. Have you ever stopped to think that these little imperfections are part of what makes the memory special? Imagine telling years from now about that Christmas when everything went wrong, but we still managed to laugh and connect. Accepting the unexpected as part of the process is liberating. Moreover, it's a powerful practice to carry not just during the holidays, but in any area of life. Acceptance doesn't mean complacency. It's not about giving up on improving what's within our reach. It's about channeling energy into what we can change, our attitudes and reactions. Instead of being stuck in the desire for absolute control, ask yourself, how can I turn this situation into something positive? If dinner doesn't go as planned, why not make the night special with a family game? If someone didn't like their gift, why not use that as a moment to learn more about their interests? Every challenge can be a door open to connection and growth. But there's something curious about this acceptance. It generates a kind of inner harmony that feels almost magical. When you stop resisting imperfections, you begin to notice that often they are what bring color to life, like that forced smile that turns into genuine laughter, or that stumble that ends up being the most memorable moment of the night. It's truly more about how you choose to react than about what happens around you. And here's a practical tip. Why not start this practice of acceptance right now before the holidays? Make a mental list of things that could go wrong and, alongside, write down how you could handle them calmly. For instance, if I burn the main dish, I'll improvise with what I have in the fridge. Or, if a family conflict arises, I'll listen patiently and avoid getting emotionally involved. This simple preparation can completely change how you experience the moment. Deep down, accepting that not everything will be perfect is liberating. It not only lightens the weight of expectations, but also opens space for you to truly enjoy things as they are. And as you reflect on this, it becomes clear that there's a unique beauty in learning to embrace life in its most authentic, imperfect and yet absolutely perfect form. And speaking of this, have you ever imagined the impact of approaching the next moment with a more serene and grateful mindset? Have you noticed how the pursuit of perfection can be suffocating? At Christmas, this intensifies. The tree must be stunning, the dinner flawless, and the gifts absolutely spot on. But is that really what people remember? Often, in trying to achieve this unattainable ideal, we lose sight of the essence of the moment, connection. And Stoicism has much to teach us here. It invites us to replace the obsession with perfection with the serenity of valuing what truly matters. Because let's be honest, perfection only exists in commercials. And even there, it's touched up. Imagine, for example, that you planned your dream feast. Everything thought out carefully, but at the crucial moment, a dish burns in the oven. It feels like the end of the world, doesn't it? But here's a secret. No one will remember that technical detail. What stays in memory is the laughter, the aroma of spices, the exchange of stories around the table. This is precisely where serenity reveals itself as a powerful ally. Instead of lamenting, you can embrace the situation with lightness and even humor. Who knows, you might even turn the mistake into an inside joke that will be told at future Christmases. This serenity, however, doesn't come out of nowhere. It is cultivated. The first step is to redefine what you consider success in a moment like this. Stoicism suggests that success doesn't lie in the perfection of the event, but in the quality of the human experience. A dinner filled with laughter, even if it has bread and butter instead of turkey, is infinitely richer than an impeccable banquet surrounded by tension. Ask yourself, what do I really want to create with this moment? The answer is rarely something material or technical. It is almost always something emotional. Speaking of emotions, that feeling of guilt for not meeting expectations, it's a sneaky thief of your peace. However, Stoicism reminds us that unrealistic expectations have no basis in reality. It's like expecting December weather to be cool and pleasant in the middle of a desert. A helpful practice is to ask yourself, is this really necessary, or am I just trying to impress? This simple question can free you from many traps of perfection. Another practical tip is to simplify. Instead of spending hours on elaborate decorations or complex recipes, why not invest more time in sincere conversations or moments of sharing? Imagine choosing a warm environment where everyone feels comfortable being themselves instead of a picture-perfect table setting. That is the essence of serenity, allowing the moment to unfold without the need to mold it to an artificial standard. And speaking of artificial standards, here's an interesting reflection. How many times have you attended perfect events that felt cold and lifeless? This happens because perfection often stifles spontaneity. Without spontaneity, connection is lost. Serenity, on the other hand, creates space for the unexpected and authentic. It's like leaving a window open for the fresh air of reality to come in, rather than trying to control every detail. If you still find it hard to let go of perfection, try a small exercise. Deliberately choose something not to be perfect this Christmas. It could be a last-minute store-bought dessert or a simpler gift. Notice how this affects your experience. Often it is in this small act of relinquishing control that you discover the power of serenity. Because deep down, Christmas doesn't need to be perfect to be unforgettable. Speaking of unforgettable, have you noticed how the most memorable moments in life are rarely perfect? It's funny to think about it. Maybe it's time to reevaluate not just Christmas, but how we approach imperfections in our daily lives. And speaking of that, have you ever wondered what it would be like to live more in the present and less worried about expectations? This leads us to the next step in this journey. Have you ever paused to realize how often, during Christmas celebrations, your mind is elsewhere? Perhaps revisiting past moments or planning how to avoid potential mistakes in the future. Stoicism teaches us something powerful. The only thing truly within our control is the present. It is here that true life resides. And Christmas, with all its hustle and expectations, can be an incredible opportunity to practice this focus. After all, what good is it to be surrounded by loved ones if your mind is stuck in places where you can change nothing? Imagine this scene. A child hands you a gift they made themselves, but you're distracted, worrying about whether the turkey will be done on time. That moment, so simple and full of meaning, could go unnoticed. Living in the present means savoring these small instances as if they were unique, because in truth they are. A smile, a hug, or even the sound of laughter around the table are treasures that, when truly noticed, transform Christmas into something extraordinary. But how do you cultivate this focus on the present? The answer may lie in simple and accessible practices. One of them is gratitude. When you force yourself to mentally list 3 things you're grateful for in the moment, your mind naturally anchors itself in now. For example, looking at the Christmas table, you might feel grateful for the food, the people present, and even the collective effort that made that moment possible. This practice not only brings calm, but helps build more vivid and meaningful memories. Another powerful habit is mindfulness. During the festivities, try a simple technique. Focus on your breath for a few seconds. Inhale, exhale, and observe. It may seem small, but this brief exercise has a powerful effect of bringing your mind back to the present. Moreover, it creates space for you to respond to situations with patience rather than automatic reactions. Imagine how useful this could be when dealing with that relative who insists on bringing up difficult conversations at the wrong time. Living in the present also means letting go of excessive worry about expectations. After all, the more you cling to idealized scenarios, the harder it is to enjoy what is right in front of you. How about replacing planned perfection with genuine moments? By making room for improvisation, you allow Christmas to reveal itself in ways you might never have imagined. Like when an impromptu card game turns a dull evening into one of the funniest moments of the year. And speaking of unexpected moments, there's something profoundly transformative about simply observing. Yes, observing. Notice the details. How the candlelight dances on the table, or how people share knowing glances. These small details are like pieces of a puzzle that compose the beauty of the present. By focusing on them, you train your mind to find joy in the simplest things which often go unnoticed. If focusing on the present seems challenging, remember, like any skill, it requires practice. And Christmas is the perfect setting to start. How about trying this? When you sit at the table, turn off your phone and make a silent promise to yourself, I will truly be here. Notice how this changes your perception of the moment. And by allowing yourself to live fully, you also pave the way for gratitude. And that's exactly what we will talk about next. Have you noticed how the simple act of giving thanks can transform the environment around you? At Christmas especially, gratitude is more than just a good practice. It's the essence that connects people, even in the face of imperfections. The Stoics deeply valued gratitude not as a social obligation but as a state of mind that elevates any experience. After all, what would Christmas be without the ability to recognize the blessings, big or small, that we have in our lives? Consider for a moment those situations when things didn't go as expected. Perhaps the gift you gave didn't quite hit the mark, or that special dish turned out a bit too salty. In moments like these, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism or disappointment. But what if you pause to think, what lesson can I take from this? What is still positive about this moment? This is precisely the shift in perspective that gratitude offers. And the most intriguing part? The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. One practical way to incorporate gratitude during Christmas is to create a dedicated moment for it. This could be before the holiday meal, where everyone at the table shares something they are grateful for. Imagine how this fosters a positive energy in the room, reminding everyone that the holiday spirit extends far beyond gifts or food. This practice not only brings people together, but also reinforces that even imperfections have something to teach us. Gratitude also has a curious effect on our relationships with others. When you focus on the positive aspects of someone, even if it's that one slightly difficult relative, something shifts. You set aside unrealistic expectations and start to appreciate the person as they are, with their qualities and limitations. This simple gesture can dissolve conflicts and foster harmony, especially during emotionally charged times like Christmas. But don't be mistaken. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring challenges. On the contrary, it puts them into perspective. For instance, if there were tensions during the holiday preparations, acknowledging everyone's efforts can change the atmosphere. Saying something as simple as "thank you for everything you did to make this moment possible" can completely transform the mood. Because deep down, we all want to feel valued, right? Here's an interesting exercise. Before going to bed on Christmas night, take a few minutes to write down or think about 3 things you were grateful for that day. It can be something as simple as the company of a friend, a child's laughter, or even the chance to rest after a busy day. This small habit can change how you view not only Christmas but life as a whole. What's fascinating about gratitude is that it doesn't require grand events to be felt. Often it can be found in the details: the smell of coffee in the morning, the warmth of a hug, or the sound of a song that brings back fond memories. When you develop this attentive outlook, you realize there are reasons to be grateful even on the most ordinary days. In the context of Christmas, this practice gains even more significance, reminding us of the true spirit of the celebration. Isn't it curious how a simple thank you can carry such meaning? It's almost like an invisible bridge connecting people and strengthening bonds. And when we talk about bonds, there's something even deeper we can explore: the power of altruism and serving others. This leads us directly to the next point. If you think about it, Christmas is a celebration built around the idea of giving. However, contrary to what we often believe, giving isn't limited to wrapped gifts. The true spirit of altruism lies in offering something of yourself, whether it's an act of kindness, a moment of listening, or even the effort to create a harmonious environment. Stoics viewed serving others not as a sacrifice, but as a way to enrich one's own soul. After all, what could be more rewarding than seeing the positive impact your actions can have on someone's life? Think of something simple, like helping an elderly neighbor with their holiday shopping, or inviting a friend who would otherwise spend Christmas alone to share the meal. These small gestures not only make a difference for others, but also enhance your own sense of connection and purpose. Altruism, in the end, is like a seed. The more you plant, the more you reap in the form of gratitude, harmony, and even happiness. But altruism can also be silent. Often it's not about grand gestures, but small actions that go unnoticed. Imagine that during the holiday meal you notice someone feels uncomfortable. Offering a word of support, a compassionate look, or even sharing a task can completely transform that person's experience. These are precious opportunities to practice what Stoics would call human virtues: kindness, patience, and empathy. And here's a powerful truth: when you shift your focus from yourself to the well-being of others, something magical happens. Those internal conflicts, like worries about imperfections or anxiety about pleasing others, begin to lose their grip. It's as if your mind finds a natural balance just by changing the center of your attention. Instead of worrying whether the gift you gave was expensive enough, you realize the real value lies in the care and intention behind it. If you're wondering how to get started, here's a practical idea. Set aside a moment this Christmas to perform an intentional altruistic act. It could be donating food or clothing to those in need, writing a heartfelt message to someone special, or even offering your time to listen to someone facing difficulties. What's most important isn't what you do, but the intention behind the act. After all, the true gift is the energy you put into it. Interestingly, altruism is also a form of personal growth. Each time you act with others in mind, you're training your capacity for empathy, resilience, and even leadership. Imagine how this can impact not only your family relationships, but also your professional and social life. Being seen as someone who genuinely cares for others is a rare and incredibly valuable quality. And speaking of value, there's something even deeper in altruism. It reminds us that despite how imperfect circumstances may be, we have the power to create meaning. In a Christmas where serving others takes center stage, it's impossible not to feel the presence of something greater. And when you combine this with the practice of gratitude and acceptance, what happens? Well, perhaps you'll discover that the harmony and contentment you seek are closer than you think. And by the way, have you thought about how this might connect to the next great lesson on resilience? At the heart of Stoicism is the idea that true happiness doesn't come from external circumstances, but from how we choose to respond to them. Christmas, with all its emotions and expectations, is fertile ground for practicing these principles. Imagine this moment as a laboratory where you can experiment with acceptance, present moment focus, gratitude, and resilience. It's the perfect blend of practical philosophy and celebration, where every small gesture becomes an opportunity for learning. One of the most important principles of Stoicism is distinguishing between what is under your control and what is not. During Christmas, this can mean accepting that you cannot control other people's behavior, but you can decide how to respond to them. For example, if someone makes an unpleasant comment, you can choose whether to let it affect you or to maintain your serenity. This simple practice not only preserves your peace but also helps create a more harmonious environment around you. Another valuable principle is virtue as a guide for action. During the holidays, why not think, What is the most virtuous thing I can do right now? Often the answer will lie in acts of patience, understanding, or altruism. Imagine a relative arriving late for dinner. Instead of complaining, why not greet them with a smile and show that their presence is what truly matters? These small acts are like stones thrown into a pond. Their effects ripple far beyond what you imagine. Resilience also plays a central role in Stoicism, and during Christmas it can transform your experience. Consider the minor frustrations that may arise, like a dessert that didn't turn out right or a forgotten gift. In these moments, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I turn this into something positive? This approach not only reduces the emotional impact of setbacks, but also strengthens your ability to handle greater challenges in the future. Stoicism encourages us to value the present moment, avoiding excessive attachment to the past or worry about the future. During the holiday dinner, try a simple practice. Observe the people around you and look for a reason to admire them. It could be a child's smile, the dedication of the person who prepared the meal, or even the simplicity of a loving gesture. This practice not only increases your gratitude, but also creates more meaningful memories. Finally, Stoicism reminds us of the importance of finding meaning in our experiences. Christmas, with its blend of chaos and beauty, is the perfect setting for this. Even if not everything goes as planned, each moment offers the chance to exercise patience, kindness, and connection. You don't need a perfect Christmas for it to be special. You just need an open heart to welcome whatever comes, with serenity and gratitude. When you combine acceptance, virtue, resilience, and gratitude, you realize that Stoicism is not just a philosophy for tough times, but a powerful tool for creating a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Speaking of meaning, there's one last piece of this puzzle we need to explore: how to bring this practice into your daily life in an even more transformative way. Now that you've journeyed through these Stoic reflections on Christmas, you may be wondering, what now? What do I do with all this? The answer is simple: apply it. But apply it lightly, without pressure, like planting seeds in a garden. Each idea we discussed, from acceptance to altruism, is like a gift for yourself, a guide to transforming not just Christmas, but any moment in life into something more significant. And here's a challenge. Have you truly been living the most important moments of your life with the serenity and connection they deserve? Or have you allowed worries about the future and unrealistic expectations to steal the joy of the present? Perhaps it's time to change that. Christmas is the best time to start, not because it is perfect, but precisely because it is full of imperfections, and within those imperfections lies the opportunity to practice. Think about everything we discussed: the power of accepting things as they are, the magic of focusing on the present, the strength that comes from gratitude, and the transformative impact of serving others. How would your life look if you could apply these principles not only at Christmas but also in your work, friendships, and even on the most ordinary days? The great truth is that Stoicism is not a distant philosophy. It is a way of life that helps us find harmony even in the most challenging situations. Now, I want you to imagine something. How would your life be if next Christmas and every day you could face challenges with resilience, see people with patience, and regard yourself with gratitude? Does it seem impossible? It's not. That's the power of Stoicism, and it's within everyone's reach. You just have to take the first step, and for that, I have something special for you. If you enjoyed these ideas and want to dive deeper, the ebook Stoic Mindset is the perfect resource. It not only explores these concepts in detail, but also offers simple and effective practices for applying them in daily life. This could be your guide to overcoming anxiety, gaining clarity, and building a mindset focused on what truly matters. Want more balance and serenity in your life? This is the way. And before I finish, one last request: subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, you will find much more content that will help you transform your perspective and find more purpose in life. After all, the Stoic journey is just beginning, and I want to walk alongside you.